1. So this happened last year in my third shift at my new job. I work at a pizza chain, Domino's, that's located just outside of a supermarket. I migrated to Australia about 6 years ago, and I became an Australian citizen before I got the job. Mind you, I had a slight American accent, but I can easily switch to my Malaysian accent pretty quickly. Me is myself, EK, entitled Karen, MB, my brother, and manager. My manager has sent me out of the store to go pick up some stuff at the local shop, as we were running out of a few certain toppings. I sped-walked down every aisle to search for the items, checking my phone because it was nearing till the end of my shift, whilst also glancing at the cash-out area. I finally found the item I searched for, looked for the ones that are the cheapest in big quantities when a wild Karen appeared. She started ranting to me about some stuff in another aisle. Note my uniform is full black dress pants, a black belt, black leather shoes, a hairnet, a black hat with the Domino's logo, and infamous black polo with Domino's written on the back. It was clear to any sane customer that I was a Domino's worker, while the workers at the local shop wore white blouse button-ups, black dress pants, hair tied back, and a badge showing that they worked at that local shop. To make it even more of a difference, I was still wearing the apron from Domino's. The hat I had to wear also had the logo on it. I remember the conversation going like this. Also note, this was during my first week at the job.
What are you doing on your phone?
I switched to my Malaysian accent. Sorry, what?
So unprofessional. I've been trying to get your attention for the past 5 minutes.
I don't work here.
Don't give me that bullshit. I want these following items and make it quick.
She pushed her shopping list into my already full hands of large packets of oregano and chicken salt. Ma'am, I don't work here, I work at...
Stop making dumb excuses right now. Do your damn job.
At this point, I checked my phone as I was well over time. While the wild Karen was busy ranting, I ran to the cash out and paid for the items. Then, as quick as my tired legs can, I ran back to the store I worked for, gave the change and receipt to my manager, who was also my brother, told him the whole situation on why I was taking 30 minutes to buy oregano and chicken salt. He said I can clock out now and take some spare garlic breads home. While I was in the midst of taking off my apron, the door opened. Mind you, our door didn't have a bell on top, but it did slam pretty damn loud shut. Standing at the front was the entitled Karen from the shops. She looked fuming red. My brother handed me a couple pizzas that were to be picked up. I yelled the name, no reply, so I placed it back on the hot shelf. I turned to EK and put on my most fakest customer service smiling voice and spoke, in an American accent, "Hello, welcome to Domino's. How can I help you today?"
You?
Yes, how can I help you today?
What are you doing behind there? You're supposed to be, then she named the shop, working there instead.
Then appears my brother, speaking in his fake customer service American accent. "Hello, ma'am, may I ask, why are you yelling at my fellow employee here?"
She, give him my pizza.
May I get the name then?
A pepperoni pizza, now.
Have you ordered a pizza, I say?
What do you think I'm doing right now? Ordering, you idiot.
Ma'am, I must ask you to lower your voice and not speak to our employees like that, please. I went on to make the order, but my brother had other plans. He told me to clock out and would pay for the overtime, even though it was a Sunday and we do 10% surcharges on Sundays. He came home later that night and told me that he had the security physically remove her from the property, and now I haven't seen that Karen since. Now, whenever I have a shitty day at work and someone asks, "How is work?" I reply, "Oh, sure, I enjoy feeding and making food for entitled ungrateful Karens, and receiving shouts of obscenities from drunkards for 9 hours a week. It was great." I really do enjoy working there, though. 2. Happened a few hours ago, as of this post. I'll try to keep it short and sweet. I work at a local retail drugstore that happens to sell wood pellet fuel, not to be confused with pallets, the wooden thing they come on. I get tongue-twisted over that all the time. In case you don't know, they're basically little compressed pellets of sawdust and wood particles that come in 40 to 50-pound bags. At my store, we sell them in bulk, and you can get a deal selling them by the ton. Naturally, we get entire pallets stacked to that number and wrapped in plastic. I happened to be going outside where the pallets are stacked to do 2 things. Open up a pallet that only had a single slit in it. That was hard to pull single bags from. Offer to help a guy who just bought a ton to load them into his truck. The guy loading his truck tells me he is all good, just minding his own business. Cut it open with his own pocket knife and everything. I don't need to check his receipt for anything because I witnessed the transaction minutes ago. I go to do the other task I listed above when I hear the sound of one of the wooden pallets landing in a truck bed. I connect A to B pretty quickly and remind him of the store policy that the pallets are not for sale. My exact words were, "I'm sorry, I can't let you take the pallet." From this point, I don't remember the order of things that were said, so in lieu of script format, I'm gonna throw down a few quotes said by each party involved, me. "I'm sorry, I can't let you take the pallet." "Sir, it's store policy." "Who in the store actually told you you could take them?" "I'm just doing my job." "Sir, I told you I'm doing my job." "Sir, I told you I am doing my job." I said that twice. He, who is a local politician,
"You have no idea who you're talking to. Somebody else already told me I can take it. I'm not going to stop now. Go on, call the cops, I dare you. Don't get cocky just 'cause you're in charge here."
And then about three of,
"Go inside and do your job."
The exchange ended with me, unfortunately, going back inside, not accomplishing the goal of getting the pallet back. The store is hands-off in terms of loss prevention policy. I asked a few fellow managers and supervisors if they had been letting people take pallets. They all said no. At that point, I decided the least I could do was change the sign on the display, so that in no uncertain terms people knew the pallets were store property and not allowed to be taken. Of course, I waited till after he was gone so as not to escalate the situation further. I only learned afterwards that he had a position in the town and village government, after the exchange was over. He looked vaguely similar to a guy that had caused a scene a few weeks back over an unrelated incident. I called one of the people involved to identify him on the camera, and they happened to know right away. While he wasn't the person from the other incident, she knew who he was by name. When I heard the name, it clicked because I had read it in the local newspaper before. His attitude made a little sense now. Up until the point, "You have no idea who you're talking to," didn't mean much to me. This is the kind of town where the connections that he was acting like he had were either the local meth addicts or the juggalos. The fellow employee in turn rationalized that I thought they were the same person because of how big-headed the people in both incidents were. Judging by her tone, this is not the first time he's tried to let his position get to his head. She confirmed to me that shouting at a retail store employee is not out of the ordinary for him. 3. So I'm really passionate about coffee. Some may say that I'm a bit of a coffee snob, so I know a little more about coffee than the ordinary person. That being said, I had time to kill, so I went coffee shop hunting in order to see if I could find a coffee shop that serves really good coffee. After 2.5 hours, 4 espressos, and 4 cups of coffee, I finally found a coffee shop that I really liked. And I was a little hyped up with all the caffeine in my system. So I was in this tiny yet cozy little coffee shop that locally roasts fresh coffee, sipping from my hot cup, when a couple in their 50s rushed in. The woman was talking with her husband since they wanted to buy coffee beans for their daughter. She saw me talking with the barista who prepares and serves the drinks, so she thought that I worked there. She then proceeded to kindly ask me about the coffees they sold there, and since I had time to spare, and I tried all 3 varieties that they sold right before she entered, I kindly started to explain the differences between the varieties of coffee, mainly taste, level of roast, and where it comes from. She looked a bit confused and told me she didn't understand anything about coffee, that it was for her daughter. So she started to dial her daughter's phone while she asked me for the price. It was then that I told her that I didn't know the prices since I didn't work there. She said she was sorry, and I answered that I didn't mind. I can see why she would get confused. After all, I was talking about the coffee in coffee snob terms with the barista, and the uniforms of the coffee shop were a black t-shirt and jeans, while I was wearing a black polo and jeans. She finished dialing her daughter and tried to explain to her what I had just previously explained, but to no avail since she didn't understand what I had said, and therefore couldn't repeat it to her daughter. So she demanded, the barista if she could talk into the phone with her daughter to explain to her, which made the barista a little uncomfortable and she refused to do so. Then she turned to me and asked if I wouldn't mind repeating to her daughter what I just explained. I said I wouldn't, took her phone and started to talk to her daughter. Once I was finished and answered all her questions, the daughter, via phone call, started to order several coffees, latte, cappuccino, etc. So I told her that I didn't work there, She asked me to hand the phone back to her mother, and I listened as she started to reprimand her mother since she was embarrassed that her mother had passed her on to a regular customer, who she had then tried to make coffee orders to. So finally, the mother bought the coffee beans that her daughter wanted, which were the ones I recommended, and left. The barista thanked me for taking the bullet and agreeing to take the phone call since she sort of panicked when she was asked to do it, and she asked me why I did it. I simply answered that I didn't mind. I finished drinking my coffee, I paid, and I left. 4. First, a little backstory. The return policy in the store I work is 100 days with your receipt. Without a receipt, the only thing we can give the customer is the lowest price the item has been in our store in the last 12 months. This seems to cause some problems, especially once items have been put on clearance. All of this information is right at the registers when the customer pays for their stuff. On to the story. I was the only one working cash at the time, and a woman walks into the store and makes a beeline for my register. "I just bought these boots a couple months ago and the heels are already breaking off." She holds up her boot, and the heel is indeed broken. "I don't have my receipt, but I was hoping I could just get a replacement." Okay, unfortunately, we are currently out of those specific boots, so there are 2 things I can do. First, since you don't have your receipt, I could refund you the lowest price the boots have been in our store in the last 12 months. Or you can take a look around the shoe department to see if there's another pair that you would like, and we can see if we can work something out with those. "Okay, I'll go take a look around for a bit." She then takes her boots and walks around the shoe department for a bit. A couple minutes later, she comes back. "How much would I be able to get as a refund?" "I'm not sure offhand. Let me check real quick." I grab one of her boots so that I can type the serial number in the computer. Since the boots no longer had their tag, I couldn't just scan them in. As I'm doing this, the woman keeps talking to me. "My boots should not be breaking after just 2 months." I agree. There must be some defect in them. "You can see they're barely worn. I've only had them for 2 months. This went on a couple more times. At this point, I was annoyed with her constantly trying to convince me to give her a refund when I was already trying to do exactly that. It's no longer a matter of if I can give you a refund, the boots are defective. It's just a matter of how much I can give you back, and I'm trying to figure that out now. By this point, I had been able to pull up her refund and figure out how much she would get back. It looks like you paid about $54.99 originally. Unfortunately, since you do not have your receipt with you, the most I can give you back is $34.99. The woman just stared at me without saying anything. If you would like, I could put your refund on a merchandise card. "Yeah, okay." The woman then picks up her boots and puts them back in her bag. "I'm going to need your boots." "What?" "For the refund. I'm going to need your boots so I can give you the merch card." "No, I'm keeping my boots. They're broken." "Well, I can't give you the merch card without your boots." "What? I paid full price for the boots. Why am I only getting that much back?" "Since you don't have your receipt, that is as much as I'm able to give you back." "But I paid full price." "I'm sorry, this is company policy. I'm only able to give you back the lowest amount these boots have been in the last 12 months. "But I paid full price. I should get full price back." "I'm sorry, this is all I can do." Fine, just give me that amount, but I'm keeping my boots." "I'm sorry, but I'll need your boots. I can't just give you the money without getting something. It's one or the other." "But I paid full price. If I can't get a full refund, then I'm keeping my boots." "Like I said before, without your receipt, I can't give you a full return. And I can't give you this partial return without your boots in exchange." "Fine then, I'll just keep my boots." The woman just stared at me for a couple seconds, expecting me to say something. I just looked back at her, waiting for her to decide what she wanted to do. After a couple more seconds of this, she left in a huff with her broken boots, and no refund. 5. I just got done with a shift at a convenience store I work at to help pay for my tuition at Regent College in Vancouver. It's a spring day in mid-April of 2019, so there are a bunch of cherry blossoms that are really nice to look at. So I stopped by a local pizza parlor to get a pizza for me and my girlfriend Jane to eat when I get back home. There's a long line as usual because this place is pretty well known for having good pizza. So I just decided to wait outside and sit on a bench, because this restaurant is right across the road from a park. I sit there scrolling through my phone. I forget what I was doing for at least half an hour, until my girlfriend asks when I'm coming home, because she wants to know if we would still have time to go visit some friends afterwards. I tell her over the phone that I'm getting pizza from the place we like, and she's ecstatic because it's that time of the month, and she's been craving some pizza lately. So I walk into the pizza parlor and wait for another 15 to 20 minutes in line. When I get to the front, the woman behind the counter, who knows me, I'm a regular, and her and Jane are close friends, says that it'll take a while due to them being flooded with orders. I understood because I worked in a popular restaurant when I was like 17, and I know how crazy it can get at times, so I nod my head, and I go back to the bench to wait again for another 20 or so minutes until I go back inside. The place has calmed down a bit now, and there's only a few customers left. I go in, place my order, I go back to the bench, because the woman behind the counter, who will now be known as WBC, tells me it'll take another 15 minutes or so until my pizza's ready. I still haven't gotten back to my apartment yet, so I'm still in my work uniform from the convenience store. The place I work at is relatively chill with what you wear. You just need to wear black pants or shorts. Conveniently, the pizza parlor also makes their employees wear black pants. It's just they need to wear a black polo shirt that has the company logo on the sleeve. Remember this for later. Another 5 or so minutes goes by and this woman, who will be known as Karen, comes up to me. She looks to be about 1.75 meters tall. She's wearing a jean jacket over a burgundy dress shirt with black yoga pants, and she has the typical dirty blonde shortcut that every Karen has. She stares me down for about 10 seconds before she makes a comically loud ahem. I look up and reply with, "Is there anything?"
Yeah, I just wanted to say that this place here has done a bad job at serving me and my child.
And she points to a stroller with an infant inside. Yes, an infant. I just look up, confused, because I don't understand what she meant.
And why are you sitting out here on your phone while you're supposed to be working?
I'm sorry, I don't work here. Karen looks at me, and just out of the blue asks,
Oh, you're one of those gay freaks, aren't you?
Now, I personally have nothing against homosexuality or anything of that sort. One of my closest friends is gay, but I'm personally heterosexual. I'm sorry, what?
Don't I'm sorry what me, mister. You've got that snarky accent that all the gays have.
I'm not originally from Vancouver or even Canada. I'm from Maine, which is on the US Northeast coast, and I'll admit, my accent does sound a little funny compared to the one that people have in British Columbia or Vancouver.
Whatever, I just want to know what you're doing out here when you're supposed to be on the job right now. Speaking of which, you need to get in there right this instant to make me and my poor hungry child something to eat.
To that I reply with, 1, infants aren't supposed to be eating pizza. 2, I'm not homosexual. And 3, I've already told you that I don't work here.
Quit your lying. I know that you work here because of your uniform. Now, please go in there and make me and my son something to eat, please.
She says, starting to calm down a bit. I simply get up, walk across the road, and Karen follows with her stroller, and a look of satisfaction on her face. I go in and WBC says almost immediately, "You're just in time. The pizza literally just came out the oven and not even 20 seconds ago." I can see her coworker cutting the pizza and boxing it. She hands it to WBC and says hi to me. WBC hands me my pizza and says, "That'll be $12. That's probably not what the price was, I forgot. I take out my wallet and take out the purple bill. That's a $10, and a toonie, that's a $2 Canadian coin. But as I'm handing WBC the money, Karen grabs it real quick and says out loud,
"Why is he getting pizza? Isn't he supposed to be the one making it?"
She says, dumbfounded. WBC replies with a polite, "No, he doesn't work here."
"But the uniform? Why is he wearing the uniform then?"
"If he worked at this establishment, then he would be wearing the company logo on a black shirt like me and the other workers." As she points at the logo on her shirt. Karen's still not getting the idea, asks to see the manager. To that, WBC smirks, does a 360 spin and says, "Hi, I'm the manager of this establishment. Is there an issue that I can help you with?" The Karen's face turns a bright red before throwing my money on the ground, and stomps off and unloads her baby into her car and speeds off. WBC smirks at me and says, "Trust me, this isn't my first time." I go to give her the money and she simply shakes her head and says, "This one's on us," while giving me some garlic nuts and marinara sauce. As I'm walking out the door, she hands me a brownie in her little presentation box and says, "Here, for Jane." And I get into my car and drive back home. Once I'm home, I tell Jane about the whole ordeal. She laughs it off, and we leave the apartment to go see some friends for the rest of the night. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Adventures in Fast Food and Retail, number 89. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Right, excellent. I started dinner before I started recording, cooking away slowly, so I think it'll be ready by now that the recording's done. So I'm going to have chicken and white wine sauce served with rice. I still have rice left for now. Hopefully by the time I need to actually buy it, there'll be some available in shops, because it's hard to get right now. I think things are getting better with that. People are starting to calm down a little bit. We're kind of entering what is, let's be realistic, lockdown is going to go on for a while. We're entering the new normal. We just have to keep ourselves safe, keep others safe, and things will eventually get back to normal quicker if we do. And that's where we are right now. And, well, we all know what's going on. We don't need me banging on about it. But bright side, chicken and white wine sauce with rice for me. Okay. And with that, I'm going to head off for now because I'm very hungry. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.